We are all experiencing an unprecedented time in our lives right now. The level of uncertainty, anxiety, and fear can be overpowering as we learn to navigate in our new world, all doing our part, whether it be social distancing, staying home, and abiding by federal guidelines. There are so many on the front lines who are battling a war against an invisible enemy. Being on the front lines can place a person's physical and mental health in jeopardy. A team of professionals has come together and created a program called Resilient Minds on the Front Lines to bring tools, knowledge, skills, and instruction to assist in a time of need. This team is dedicated to helping those who help others. On today's webcast, Randy Rickert, retired Air Force colonel and FBI National Academy Master Resiliency Trainer, teaches the technique called ABC and how this can help us in our everyday lives. Your hosts for today's webcasts are Master Resiliency Instructor Michael Pellegrino and Dr. Gabrielle Salfati, Professor of Psychology and Certified Resiliency Trainer.
Welcome. Resilient Minds on the Front Lines was created to bring you 15 minutes of hope in a world turned upside down. The topics in our webcast are all meant to help those on the front lines help themselves and others. Now welcome my good friend Randy Rickert as he talks about how life is full of choices, so choose carefully. Be safe, be healthy, be resilient.
Hi, I'm Randy Rickert, retired Air Force colonel, former firefighter, city marshal, deputy sheriff, and what I do now is I work as a mentor for at-risk youth. I coach college and high school football, and more importantly for this video, I'm a master resiliency trainer and one of the lead instructors for the FBI National Academy Officer Safety and Wellness Train the Trainer Resiliency Program. It's a lot of stuff to get out there, but that's what we do. I'm a resiliency instructor. Today I'm going to teach you a little technique you can use called ABC. It's a very simple thing you can do. Before we start, hey, COVID-19 going on, working all the social distancing. I'm in a local high school. The school's empty except for me and my daughter Shelby, who's up there filming me. My wife works here. She teaches the in-school suspension program. So this is very pertinent to our lesson today. So I wanted to put this up from her classroom. Life is full of choices. Choose carefully. That's pretty much what our whole story is going to be about today, our whole lesson. ABC. So what is ABC? The A stands for an activating event. The B stands for beliefs or brain. You can put them both together there. And the C stands for consequences. And we'll work into each one of these more as we go along. So what's an activating event? Well, I'll give you an example. You're driving along, somebody cuts you off. Now something happens. A lot of people think that you just have an automatic response to that you have no control over that. I think it's safe to say that we in this audience probably realize that we have some control over that. Activating event can be a positive thing. It can also be a negative thing. You can think of your own activating events. I like to use the one, hey, call me, and it comes from your boss. Most of us are going to probably look at that one in a negative way. All right, I've used that before in more of the videos I teach. So put whatever activating event you want here. Let's move on to beliefs and brain. Every one of us have different beliefs about the world, our different value system, the way we view the world, and all that is going on in our brain. So once that activating event occurs, our brain has an opportunity to translate that event. We don't have to go from activating event to consequences. Many of us do though, especially with our families. Many times in our jobs, we put on that public facade. We're very polite to people and stuff. We get really tired, especially right now, all the COVID-19 stuff going on. A lot of people overworked on the front lines. You come home and bam, right there, that facade drops down. You want to be taken care of. You need your stuff. Or better yet, you come home and everybody wants you to do all the stuff you used to do at home or expects other things of you, and you're wore out and tired. That can break down this system very rapidly, and you jump from an activating event to a consequence. Let me talk about consequences a little bit. In our bodies, these consequences can be both emotional and physical. All right, we can have an emotional response, and then we can have a physical response. Also, we can have a physical reaction that is negative over a long period of time. We can build up things like cortisol. I believe we've got another video that speaks on all these things and how the body reacts to stress and all that. So this can be very negative. Also, if we have very positive responses to things, we can avoid those and actually develop in our brain what we call new neural pathways that are more positive than choosing the negative and the losing way. We can choose to be positive. We can choose to have a win instead of a loss. That's what the ABC is about. Okay, how do I use it? Well, very simply, something happens. You feel yourself amping up to something. Our instructors, what we do to each other, because it still happens to us. I mean, all these resiliency tools don't prevent things from happening to you. All they're designed to do is give you that, I like to say, Batman utility belt. You know, Batman, he's always whipping out those crazy tools to solve his problems. You can develop that for yourself as well. So how do you use it? As I said, our instructors notice another guy, we'll just say, hey, ABC, man. What it does is it just gives you that second to stop and go, oh yeah, refocus, reset. Maybe I want to think about this. I know in my wife's classroom, she has another little poster up that says, if what you're about to say makes you feel really good, maybe you want to think about it before you say it. I know when I was in the Air Force, I used to always reread my emails before I'd send them, and many times I'd go get somebody else and go, hey, read this email because I'm wondering if I'm feeling too good about sending it to somebody. I think most of you know what I'm talking about there. So again, the simple way you use the tool is when you feel yourself in a situation just starting to amp up, just say to yourself, ABC. It's like the old school thing, it's probably not old school, many people still use it, where you take your child and say 10-second timeout. And you might not have 10 seconds, but our brains, the way the science works, you only have one thing you can focus on at a time. Your eyes can't focus down there and focus here. That's why we don't want people texting while they're driving, because they can't do two things at the same time like that. We say we can multitask. Science says really what we're doing is spreading ourselves too thin. Bad things are going to happen. So when our brain is focused on that response right here from that activating event, what we can do is we can decide if we give ourselves time. We can take that break. You can now substitute the word break in here. Take a break between the consequence and the activating event. Just say to yourself, ABC. When I work with my at-risk kids, we come up with some other words down there. And they're just like a trigger word to re-engage your human brain up front. You know what? Let's think about this before we respond, okay? Now, this isn't new. This thought process has been in place for a long time. We always like to give you other references that you can look at. This is from Viktor Frankl. He's a survivor of a Nazi concentration camp. He went on to write Man's Search for Meaning. He wrote a lot of other books as well. He's a pretty eminent psychologist. And he said this, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and freedom. I love this quote because it talks about our growth and our freedom. If I keep responding to the activating event, I can ask a rhetorical question. What's in charge of me? Or if I respond to another person, who's in charge of me? Who's running my life? The answer is they are. The situation is controlling me, or the other person is controlling me. I like to choose for myself what I'm doing. I like to have that freedom. Also, the more I do that, the more I develop that neuroplasticity, the more I grow using resiliency. So at the point now, I'm constantly saying to myself, because I need to do this, I'm constantly saying to myself, ABC, ABC. Because we don't want to create another activating event. If you've seen the stuff on our website, you can go to the video on spirals where they talk about activating event. Well, if you can just go from activating event to activating event and keep spiraling down. One will cause another. You've got to stop that downward spiral, learn how to jump over. This is a way to jump to a spiral doing this. And then you can start using things like gratitude and some of our other lessons to teach yourself and create those ruts, new good ruts, that are teaching you to go upward on those spirals. So this is ABC. You can use this technique all day long. You can use it with your family. You can use it with your work. I've been using this for 10 years now. I wish I'd have known it 40 years ago. While we're out there on the front lines, this is an opportunity to teach other people as well. And you could imagine a group of people saying, hey, ABC, you know, people are having an issue or something like that. You can just say to each other, ABC. And what we're really trying to do is create a resiliency mindset, continue to build upon that utility belt, that toolkit of resiliency, and you pull out which one you need at the right moment. This one is one that works. I mean, I've used it in my Air Force career. I've used it as a firefighter. I've used it certainly with all the kids I work with, and I've used it as a coach for almost 30 years of coaching. So it's really a very positive thing. Again, I've only used it for the last 10 years when I learned it. It's just that I would have loved to have known this technique years and years earlier. You guys keep staying safe out there. Work hard. Stay safe. Thank you very much.
We can't change what happens to us in times of mental, emotional, and physical challenge and adversity. But we can change how we react to it. Resilience is our ability to approach and handle adversity in a way that allows us to bounce back more quickly from that adversity. And sometimes this process even allows us to grow stronger. In today's video, we had an insightful talk by Randy Rickard on the topic of ABC. If we had to summarize the key theme that ran through today's topic and put it in the context of resilience and how we can use this information to help us approach adversity in practice, we can bring it back to the key concept of emotional resilience. It can be a challenge when we feel we don't have control over our emotions, when we feel overwhelmed by them and react accordingly. In today's video, we learned about ABC, which stands for the external activating event, the internal belief, and our reactions and consequence. The link between the activating event and the consequence, as we learned, is not a direct one. It is moderated by our belief. So if we take it back to the example of you're coming home and you're feeling overwhelmed and exhausted because you had a long day and a lot of people have asked a lot of things from you. The activating event might be that everybody wants a piece of you when you get home, and the consequence might be that you get angry or upset. But what is actually causing your emotional reaction is your belief that you are not important. So it is not the original activating event that's causing the emotions, but your belief. Understanding your belief or your trigger provides the understanding for you to make informed choices about how to react to certain situations. It isn't about changing the belief, because we can't easily change a belief. It is about understanding what our belief is, and by understanding it, you reclaim the control instead of feeling it is in the hands of others. By having control, we then have the choice of how to react in the future. The quote in today's video by Viktor Frankl summarizes it beautifully when he says that between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. So, by understanding our belief, it will allow us to pause and have a choice about how to react to the situation and why. Understanding that we have the ability to take control back and that we do have choices about what we can choose to do is the basis of resilience. Our webcast series is committed to help those on the front lines help themselves and others, and aims to bring you tools and resources from practitioners and professionals in the field of resiliency. Thank you again to Randy Rickard for joining us in today's episode, and thank you for joining us. We hope that today's webcast has brought you hope and inspiration. Be safe, be healthy, be resilient.
During the COVID-19 pandemic crisis, your mental health is vital. Please see the resources listed here as well as on our website at onthefrontlines.us. You are not alone.